still much prefer that music. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another AMA, bi-weekly AMA. You've joined there we go. Oh, my internet's back. Oh, of all the timing, seriously, Murphy's Law. Hello, and I am joined here also today by my colleague, Tao Sheng. Hello, Tao Sheng.
Hello, Steve. Hello, everyone.
That was literally bad timing. I don't know if my internet actually broke, but okay, it's good now. I think a bird. So spoilers. I'm completely off grid. I have a Starlink running, and I think a bird just flew in front of my Starlink and caused the internet. Anyway, Murphy's Law will always rear its head when you don't want it to do that. So hello and welcome again. This is the bi-weekly Lilypad Network. Ask Me Anything. You're joined here today with Tao Sheng and Steve Kuchin. Hello. This is your chance to ask us, well, anything, as the show's title sort of gives away. We do have some stuff planned. Actually, we have some really cool stuff to talk about today, including an article Tao Sheng found on the state of AI, which is, well, not an article, presentation, which there's a lot in there. We have a lot to talk about. That said, please interrupt us. Like this is the Ask Me Anything session. So if you do have a question, please drop it into the chat. Or as I usually like to say, hang on, bring up the slide. Any questions, comments, or emojis into the chat as we're going, and we'll get to those throughout the show before it ends. If you don't, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. Actually, some kind of fun stuff, a little bit of sad stuff, but you know that happens. But yeah, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about today. So do interrupt us if you want. That said, let's jump in. Because I do need to find a new meme for this page. I was looking earlier, but I can't find one. So anyway, if you, I know we just wrapped up our meme competition. Oh, maybe I should use those in here. Anyway, if you do have a meme that I can use on this page, please send it through at Developer Steve on socials, or at lilypad_tech on Twitter/X, or we're in a bunch of other places too. Send us your memes. I'd like to add to this a little bit. Anyway, for those that missed it, we had Pondside Chats episode 2 last week. So if you did miss it, or you want to watch it again, that was with the amazing Eda Tweets. You can catch that on lilypad.team/pond2. Is my internet still messy? No, I'm getting a low internet thing warning again. I don't know why. As soon as I went live, it just did it. Anyway, typical, right? Anyway, yeah, if you did miss it, lilypad.team/pond2 is the URL you were looking for. It's also available on the Lilypad YouTube, so check it out there. It was a great interview. We covered a lot of ground, and it was just great to geek out with Ida Tweets. If you stay tuned, we have some ideas for a third one and the next one coming. So we'll talk about it on here. Also keep an eye on the lilypad.tech socials. You can also join us on Discord. I haven't mentioned that yet. I normally mention it about 8 times by now. But join us on Discord. Lilypad.team/Discord is the community link you are looking for. Let me there it is. Where you'll find out all about other stuff we're working on, and then also be able to connect to community and be able to join the conversation. Whether you're a resource provider looking to share your GPU into network, or you're someone with an idea for an AI-centric module that you want to build out, then yeah, this is the community you're looking for, and this is where you'll also find out about the next upcoming Pondside Chats, or actually join us there and let us know if there's someone you want to see interviewed on Pondside Chats. Maybe there's a particular person you could tag. So if you missed the first one, our Dapper Dan was our first interviewee on Pondside Chats, and he actually recommended Ada Tweets and then tagged her on Twitter, which was great because she said yes, and so that was the second episode. Anyway, yeah, check it out if you haven't yet. Now a little bit of sad news, sadly. Sometimes it happens. Well, it's not sad, but it's more remembering someone that contributed something to the internet as a whole. Well, it's evolution really, but for those that remember, for those that are old enough, I am very much old enough to remember back in the day before the internet, we all had bulletin board service. Not be back soon. I guess I can kind of count for that. But anyway, the creator of bulletin board service, or the BBS protocol and architecture, sadly has logged out of the chat. And I just wanted to bring it up because like this is one of the founding pioneers for the internet as we know it today. So before everyone was able just to connect via the internet, you'd use like Windows or whatever to just dial a private number, which would then get you a connection on the bulletin board service for that particular server. And I remember using Windsock back in the day to even do that. Oh, so many years ago. But this is where people used to connect. Like there was as the name suggests, bulletin board service. There was boards basically, almost like forums, early day forums that people would just write messages for and like create conversations. And actually, it was like a decentralized Reddit. Now that I think about it, way before its time. Anyway, Tao Sheng, did you remember using BBS?
Not actually. When I was at the university, I get started to use the Microsoft software and use very nice about the BBS, and very soon we get started to use the Coco. Do you know the Tencent company in China? So for me, maybe some people older than me have used the BBS very much. Yeah.
No, that's definitely I'm definitely older than you.
No,
I
don't mean
I
that.
I I know. No, yeah, I remember. I only used it very lightly as well. But yeah, connecting to different university ones and swap recipes and pictures and talk to people, and yeah, it was great. Anyway, tip of the hat to Ward Christensen and for everything that they helped. He helped to add.
Yes, but
Speaking of
very,
recent
very
news,
sad for the news. Very sad
yeah.
for the news. Yeah, very sad.
Speaking of recent news, for anyone that missed it, actually, I'm going to drop the link into the chat. But our very own CEO, developer Ali, wrote a really good article on. Well, I mean, part of the main reason why Lilypad's here is basically a really good article on how tech giants, a handful of tech giants, are holding AI's future hostage. Now we have seen this, and I've talked about this before. And actually, for anyone that follows Levels.io on Twitter, actually, I'm going to bring him up because this is related to this. Let me get Levels.io. There he is. We've chatted before, me and him a few times on tech things, and he's really cool guy building out some some pretty fun stuff. But so Levels.io essentially builds out make that a bit bigger. Builds out some really cool platforms. He's built out a bunch of them now. For anyone that not familiar with his work, but what he's been dealing with lately, he for some reason, and I still don't completely know why. I should have had this prepared earlier. But essentially, he's been trying to build out his own email server. Now, if anyone's tried to do that, I actually don't know where it is now, but I saw there's multiple. Oh, no, okay. No, all right. I might abandon that because I'm just digging through his feed. Anyway, he has these really good threads recently on building your own email server, which I have done. I used to run my own email server. It's probably about over 5 years ago now. It literally just got too hard. And this is my point: is this same scenario is playing out now with AI. So anyone can run their own email server, for example, but there's only a handful of companies that pretty much dominate email. I'm not going to mention names. You know who I'm talking about. But they set the standard and the industry standard on what's accepted for email and what's validated as spam. And so if a new email server pops up, it's immediately classified as a spam server. So trying to get your server trusted for email, particularly against those big players, is near impossible because they basically dub it as a spam server and shouldn't be trusted. Therefore, none of your email gets delivered, which is, I mean, that's the primary reason you have an email server. And the same thing is playing out, same scenario is playing out now with AI, or the running of models, building of models at the moment. So it's the same. We've seen this repeated with other industry standards before. And so it's a really good article. I'm going to drop it into the chat. Actually, I'm going to put it on a banner. I probably should have put it on a short link. Oh, curse my password. Anyway, I'm going to drop it into the chat. It's on the Lilypad socials if you wanted to check it out. It's also on, well, blockworks.co and a bunch of other places too, because it got picked up by a few different places. But totally worth a read, because it is literally one of the main problem that Lilypad is trying to help solve in democratizing access to AI. I might get a little passionate talking about this only because the email sitch and a whole bunch of other things, I'm going to call them strangleholds, industry strangleholds that some companies have over the industry. It needs to get fixed. Like, this is not what the industry is about, and certainly not what the internet founders had in mind when they created it. But anyway, tell us your thoughts on that in the chat if you got some more thoughts on that one. But yeah, definitely worth a read. Speaking of reading, for those that follow our blog, the new Lilypad project report is out, covering a multiple of topics as we ramp up and focus more on getting ready for mainnet, or as I like to think of it, on the road to mainnet. It's probably a Lilypad pond version of that, on the pond road. Yeah, we'll workshop that. But we cover, yeah, this latest report covers a whole bunch of different topics and things we've been working on, new releases, changes to the Lilybit rewards, and also the open source rewards dashboard, which is something else I wanted to mention quickly before we go on to the big thing we'll be talking about, which is the AI report. We are taking part in Hacktoberfest. For those that did my internet drop again? I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, so yeah, check it out if you want to get involved. We do have a bunch of repos tagged with the tag, like let me make that bigger, the web UI mono repo, which actually houses 4 of our core asset sites now, including the open sorcerers rewards and ambassador rewards, built out by Phil. Shout out to Phil in the DevRel crew, who built a prototype site and then moved it over into the mono repo, which means it's now open sourced. And also, it's a bit of a meta contribution here, because you can contribute to the open source project, in particular the rewards site, as part of Hacktoberfest, which you can then potentially get rewarded for as part of the Lilypad open source recognition program, and that gets you on this amazing leaderboard. We also have an ambassador section as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah, you get listed on that, plus you get Hacktoberfest. Anyway, it all counts. So we are looking for contributors to that. Actually, one thing I was looking for, and I was going to mention, if anyone's familiar with Strappy, just getting the link handy. I should have had ready. I actually thought about it before. There we go. That one, Strappy. Currently looking at using this for a very light headless CMS on the recommendation of an internal engineer for our new website, which is actually in that mono repo as well. So yeah, anyway, if anyone's familiar with that, I'd love to have a chat, as we've currently looking at implementing that as part of our new site rollout. So anyway, we can talk about that one after. I think that was all I wanted to cover. Tao Chang, any thoughts, questions, comments?
I want to comment out the last article you shared about from Ali. I wanted to say that is a crisis also in China. Some big tech gains components control the infrastructure of the internet and the infrastructure of the computation. For example, Ali Cloud. I totally agree with the opinion from the article that limited the innovation and limited the structure of the internet, and bring lots of block for the for the medical, for the lots of service, to block lots of these service, block the innovation. So I totally agree with the article. Can you share the link of the article to somewhere, to Discord or somewhere? That is what I want to say. I totally agree with this article.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. And we've seen how this ends. This does not end well. And it's harder to close that door once it's been opened, which it's got a crack appearing. It's like, don't open that door, don't open that door. Yeah, I think it does remove from the competitive nature, or the democratized nature of the resources we need to be able to run, or anyone needs to be able to run, models at scale, or any scale really, even just development. Because the resources alone are they're very expensive. They're very hard to come by too. So yeah, no one wins except some very big companies that already have a very very big pool of money. So no one wins. And then I think the medical research alone, or the scientific research alone, I think that you're right, that's not going to end well if a handful of companies control access to that sort of stuff. So I'll actually drop this into the Discord as well after the thing. So if you actually, that is an amazing segue. If you haven't yet joined us on Discord, please do, because we'd love to hear your thoughts on this article and a whole bunch of other different articles as well. So please check that out.
Yes, I want to add some words about this history or the evolution of the internet. If you look back to 30 years of the internet, look back, the peer-to-peer technology, or distributed technology, or decentralized technology have contributed to the fair uploading, downloading, fair distribute. Maybe that is 20 years ago. And the last 10 years is about the economy and blockchain and fair, also for data, like a Faircoin, like IPFS. But I think for next 10 years is for computation. Previously, we have some computation solutions with the peer-to-peer technologies, but as the article mentioned, it's not very mature. It's not powered by the blockchain. But now we have the blockchain technologies. We can revolute the computation for the next 10 years. I think the next 10 years is computation plus decentralized technologies, leverage the AI, leverage the AI progress, AI's progress. So I look forward to the decentralized technologies plus AI. I think that will bring value for the humanity.
Yeah, I think no, I totally agree. I think to add to that too, it's been interesting seeing the adoption of cloud as like the solution that's going to solve everyone's problem. But we've kind of reached that saturation point where even trying to get a VM now, I know I'm going to mention them. We spin up the VMs on GCP from time to time, and even the other day, like I had to restart one, and I couldn't get it to start back up. Like it was running, and then like I restarted it, and they're like, "No, I'm sorry, the instance isn't available anymore. The instance type isn't available in your region." And I'm like, "But it was just there. Where did it go?" I think we're reaching, and that wasn't even a GPU instance. That was just a regular like web server instance. So I had to try and resize it to a similar spec in the same region, or basically move it across regions. Anyway, I think we're starting to see that saturation now of the clouds start to play out a bit more too, which I think you're right. The decentralization of compute is like the next move, because it's the clouds that were supposed to save us are actually creating interesting bottlenecks now that are, well, not interesting, annoying bottlenecks trying to get resources. It drives me crazy. It's like that instance was just running. Like, why didn't you reserve it for an extra few minutes for me? Oh, anyway, I don't know, you can get reserved instances in regions, but sometimes I'm lazy. Anyway, no, I think the decentralized the like the strategy behind decentralization makes a lot of sense because it does remove such bottlenecks. That way, you have more resources available to folks when they need it. Yeah. Anyway, join us in Discord and tell us your thoughts on that, or please drop it into the chat. If you've just joined us, this is the bi-weekly APAC AMA, or Ask Me Anything live stream with Tao Sheng and Steve Kuchin. We're here to answer your questions. So we do have stuff to talk about, and we will keep talking about it because this is what we do. We love geeking out with this stuff. But please interrupt us. So if you do have a question, drop it into the chat. Also counts for comments and emojis as well. Just saying. We do accept emojis. Maybe not in the form of questions because they get a little bit tricky to decipher, but we will take like questions too. So drop them into the chat. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking, which is probably a good segue for something we're going to talk a very long time about, I feel, because there's a lot in this. There's a lot to unpack. I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger. So this Chao Sheng found this State of the AI report, which was put together by the folks at Air Street Capital. Shout out to them. And there's a bit of a backstory or a bit of a bio on the people that put that together. And then it basically starts to break down. I haven't been through the full thing yet. So is there any highlights you want to talk about in particular before, or you just want to go through each one, Chao Sheng?
I think we can select and choose some, for example, what you are interested in, or you want to highlight to the community, and
Okay.
we can talk about this, something like that.
Okay, yeah, let's just pick through it. So the first few pages after the bio seems to be definitions, which I think we're all fairly okay with. Things like artificial intelligence, AGI, artificial general intelligence, AI agent, AI safety, computer vision, deep learning, diffusion, generative AI. It's kind of just the terms. Oh, see, I saw SSL just then on this page. It was like, oh, secure certificates, but it's actually self-supervised learning, which is a training technique, reinforced learning, natural language processing, NLP, prompt model machine learning. Kind of just talks through the different, some of the more common terms and kind of gets that out of the way for folks that may not be too familiar with AI. AI-ing. Yeah, I guess that's a word now. The use of AI. The few more definitions just with the different model types. So input, output, text, input, output, image, code, software tool, video, music, 3D, robot state. Oh, robot state. That's interesting. Biological modality. That one's interesting. And then there's different model types. So I think they have different emojis to represent different model types as we go through the report potentially. But we can circle back to this if we need. A bit of an executive summary. I think it's just like a bit of an overview on various. I was just half reading through it. The various industry breakdowns. So research, industry, politics, safety kind of just talks about like driven by a bull run in markets, AI companies reach 9 trillion in value while investment levels grow healthily in private companies. I think it more talks about the state of the economy environment, like the sentiment. Obviously, as AI adoption starts to roll out more into different industry types, we're probably also going to see, well, we will see a lot of government intervention on what they think should be, how it should be used, when it should be used, et cetera, et cetera. Scorecard, reviewing our predictions from 2023. Okay, so this is like a bit of a look back to see what they predicted. Which, I mean, given the adoption, and I'm sure we all remember when we first used a more modern AI model to do something and was amazed at like it would produce an entire like book chapter in 6 seconds. It's, you know, the ability of the speed of it to be able to generate out, and then of course once you understood how it worked, well, at least for me as a developer, you then could understand everything that it was going to affect, which was, well, everything. But I think in particular ways. So, and like here they're saying that they predicted that a Hollywood grade production makes use of generative AI for visual effects, which was a no-brainer. Like once that tech caught up and was able to produce really good pictures and videos that kind of made more sense to, well, a human, then yeah, it was only a matter of time before Hollywood went, hey, we could use that to, you know, speed things up a little bit. And yeah, they say that here too, is like, yes, they did predict that in last year's report, but it largely badly. But generative AI, AO visual effects have been seen in Netflix and HBO productions. So it's still that emerging industry trend, vertical. Don't want to say phase, probably not phase, but yeah, it's still that emerging tech where it still needs to understand the context in which it's going to use a particular element inside a video or inside a picture, because like it's otherwise it's no different to a human trying to sell a hummingbird a fridge. Like it means nothing to them and they don't need it because it doesn't mean anything to them. Anyway, there's a few interesting points in here. Which, I mean, this doesn't surprise me. I was following the music generation side of AI for like some time because as someone that produced a lot of videos as as a dev role, as a developer evangelist, being able to use AI to generate you know, license-free content, for example, was really cool because I could just go, hey, give me a song that does this and matches this beat, etc. And so they predicted last year that an AI generated song breaks into the Billboard Top 100, Top 10, or the Spotify Top Hits of 2024. It turns out this has already happened in the last year with Heart on My Sleeve, but we've also seen AI generated song reach 27 in Germany and spend several days in the top 50. See, now it's reaching a point though where I think at some point the AI that generates that is going to want royalties. Call me crazy. It's coming. It's coming. There's going to be, I mean, we've already seen a light debate on that. So anyway, let's take a look. The new bar switched over there. So then they go into a little bit more on the research side of things, which I think might get a little more involved, but worth checking out. Yeah, they kind of really dig into numbers and then adoption and statistics and whatnot, and benchmarking, etc., which I think might get kind of, there's a lot of reading. Um, Anyway, I recommend reading through the research side of this. If everyone's interested, wait, I could probably grab the link for this. Actually, you know what? Let's post it in Discord after the show, and then if anyone wants to go through it, the link to join is lilypad.team/discord if you're not already. And we'd love for you to share your thoughts on. I couldn't find the banner, and there was no AI to get the banner for me. I'll drop that link into the chat, into the on screen, not in the chat. Lilypad.team/discord, and so we'll make this report available after the show. And then if you want to, yeah, we'd love to tell us your thoughts. We'd love to hear what your take is on this, and if you agree, and if yeah, if you wanted to add anything more to it. Let me switch back to, oh, there's a couple tabs away just then. Right, let me switch back to here. So this kind of talks about the research behind some of the stuff they're talking about in the report, and then the adoption of different models and how it's influencing different industry types. Obviously, I mean, my favorite in this report so far is the Llama use, because like it's a proper open source project that anyone can use and anyone can add to. Which is exactly what this slide talks about. In fact, actually, I didn't plan that. That was a complete happy accident. But this slide, for example, starts to talk about, but how open are open source models, which is perfect for what we were just talking about. That's very good timing. This actually goes through, oh, it has a reference link. Let's open the reference link. While that's loading, I'll switch back because that graph is really interesting. So it says, but how open are open source models? With open source commanding considerable community support, massively love that. And becoming a hot button regulatory issue, some researchers have suggested that the term is often used misleadingly. Agreed. Looking at you, open AI company that's not open, it can be used to lump together vast different openness practice across weights, datasets, licensing, and access methods, which is extremely true. And again, this is what we're trying to help solve or disrupt, because we don't think that, we definitely do not think that, a handful of companies should control access to, and then also the governance behind particular, well, models. So, because that is not good. And as anyone that's been in open source already knows, that is not good. But I'm going to stop preaching about that. Anyway, there's some great data here that kind of talks to the different nuances to licensing, access, and then who actually owns and who governs the learnings behind these different model types. So worth checking out. Do they have? Oh no, they don't. That was just a link to research. Okay. Worth checking that out, particularly if you're building out AI modules, maybe to run on Lilypad. You might be looking for which one to use based on its licensing, its capabilities, and like who actually controls the model. I mean, the last thing you want to do is build on a model which is controlled by, I'm going to say, an evil company that won't let proper open source methodologies take place. So, and by that I mean an actual community that's able to contribute and collaboratively govern how the model is created, essentially, and maintained, and then also governed. So anyway, worth checking out. There's probably a really good blog post in that too. Like, just saying. If anyone in the community wants to write it, would love to chat. Discord, you can join us on Discord. We'd love to chat about that some more. And then this sort of starts to talk about, yeah, okay, is contamination inflating progress? And this sort of talks about, again, more that governance side of things of, how, who makes the decision what gets built into reusable models, like who makes what determination of what data sets are available. And those built around, back on that other chart, those built around that open source community, I think are going to be, well, a lot more fruitful. You can see there's yeah, there's some of them have a lot of these X's on them, which means they're just not built to, have that community built around it as much. It's a bit more stricter in its governance depending on who owns or runs the open source project. Again, I'm looking at a particular open AI company, but anyway, I think we've all seen those news articles on that sort of stuff. This then goes into, oh, interesting. Researchers try to correct problems in widely used benchmarks. So this is questioning the benchmark, or the validity of the benchmarks used to benchmark the actual models themselves, because obviously it's still quite emerging. So there'd be still some debate as to how the benchmarking even gets measured and captured. This is a great article, it's not an article, great slide deck, Tao Sheng, just saying.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted.
That's okay. Yeah, great slide deck, great find.
Yeah. I'm thinking, the researchers and the scientists and the programmers who are reading this report, if they can leverage Lilypad to find some combination between their work and how to build something over Lilypad, and we can learn something from the report and rebuild something on Lilypad. So that is what I'm thinking and what I recommend to the community.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, this is interesting. And obviously we know, I mean, we're starting to see this emerge now, but this slide says, the title is Strong Results in Quantized Point to an On-Device Future. And I think we're starting to see that more and more. I know I am, for one, and me and many others are waiting for the new Apple M4 to come out with the onboard, AI. Well, essentially the hardware is now geared towards running AI-centric processes. And why this is also interesting, well, I'm going to say, and also cool, is because we're pretty sure we can run Lilypad on a M4 Mac and be able to connect the AI into. Oh, due to heavy. Wow. Okay, this is a very popular report. I just had a message come up from Google Slides saying some tools might not be available due to heavy collaborator use of this presentation. It's very popular. I think they're all reading it now and trying to work out how to run their models on Lilypad. Well, I hope they are. Anyway, speaking of, I checked this morning, we're at 1,200 GPU, 1,200 resource providers currently on network, which is amazing. Thank you to everyone. Anyway, this kind of talks more about hardware or consumer grade hardware becoming more AI centric with its approach to hardware architecture, which makes so much sense. I mean, with the adoption we've already seen across all industries at the moment, it is going to get built into everything if it's not already. Like I know we bought a new air fryer the other day, which has some AI stuff built into it, so it's able to determine, when things are cooked right, or like when temperatures hit a certain, threshold, like it'll do its thing. I think we're already starting to see that sort of stuff being able to being built into everything, where things can connect to the internet more, like the new M4 Max, for example. Yeah, we want to see that being brought into the part of the distributed compute network, so that people can use it to run scientific research or medical research, and help other folks with it, particularly overnight when you're not doing anything with it. You just leave it plugged in. Plus, you get incentivized at the moment with our incentivized testnet, and then once we launch onto mainnet, you'll be able to earn tokens for being able to run jobs, or you get rewarded for being able to run jobs as well. So just think your Mac will be earning you money. I mean, we already know Windows and other computing companies are already starting to offer that more as well. I just missed that. What's the next? Fine tuning. Interesting. We've actually been a shout out to Stan and the research crew, because they've been doing a bit with fine tuning recently with one of our partners. So fine tuning is definitely interesting. And then being able to refine the models as they're running, or after each run, and being able to put its learnings back in from the previous run and almost have generational data sets, which I think's really cool. Hybrid models. I was just reading a bit on that, but it looks like it might be one to read after the show. Yeah, there's pretty good stuff in there. If you want that, Transformer continues to reign supreme. Synthetic data. That's an interesting one. We have done some work in this with some modules and a partner, which is pretty cool. And so the idea behind synthetic data is a lot of these models have learned a lot of what they can based on human generated data sets. So, song data, or, story text, or particular code sets, etc. And then for the most part, they've reached the saturation point of getting all the up-to-date learning they have. But this is more geared towards a few different things, one of which is it almost gives them like a predictive analysis on potential future scenarios based on data sets generated from user data. So you take a model, you get a user data set or a user generated data set, train it on the model, and then say, give me data, imaginary data based on these data set trends, but make it unique. And so you do a few things here, and particularly with the likes of, say, medical research, you can take patient data, use it for training, and then have synthetic data come out of that based on the learnings that it's picked up and the trends that it's picked up in that original human-generated data set, but then anonymize the new data so that you have similar scenarios with completely randomized or completely randomized data from that original data set, if that makes sense. So you're basically creating imaginary data based on real data and then using that as real data so that you can do training, you can do testing, you can do model generation without using actual patient data or medical data or sensitive information data, which is really interesting because you kind of can do, well, almost like a predictive analysis, as I think, on potential emerging trends based on the current data set trajectory. So if you've got a data set that talks to a new synthetic compound being able to be generated and how it affects people or how often they'll take it, or some type of medical data training or model to be able to run from it, you can do it without having the safeguards in place for handling really sensitive patient data. You can use synthetic data instead and still get similar outcomes, but with a completely anonymized data set. Which is, yeah, really interesting topic because it is starting to gain more widespread adoption. Model collapse isn't going down without a fight. As model builders motor ahead, researchers have focused on trying to assess if there's a tipping point in the quantity of synthetic data that triggers these kinds of outcomes, if any mitigations work. Huh, that's interesting. I need time to read through that one a little bit more. Yeah, this report is great. We're totally putting this in Discord after this. Actually, Taoshang, you should put it because you found it. I'll just comment. Any thoughts so far? Anything you found that's interesting? I can change slides if you want. How many slides are there?
I think
There's a
you
lot.
can. I think, Steve, you can quickly go through some slides and jump to the last one, predication, and go through the predication. I think that could
Which
be interesting.
which slide's that on?
The last one, the
Last one.
last
There is
section.
I just realized there's 212 slides. We are not getting through all those. I was going to
Yes,
go
I will
through them
come to.
all one by one. That's a big report. That's a lot of work. I mean, kudos to, yeah, this is a big report.
So I think
Um,
you just jump to the last section.
oh, wait, this one's really interesting. This is one I've been following for multiple reasons, but yeah, the integration of, I don't know if we can call them cyborgs yet, but the integration of computer and human as we start to embed the chips, and then the use of AI in decoding, like this one, decoding speech from brain recordings with implantable microelectrodes could enable communication from patients with impaired speech, which is amazing that we're able to help, have that type of impact on somebody's life. And I think this is where that industry regulation needs to come into play, because we need to make sure that for these scenarios that what the person is trying to convey is being conveyed correctly, and not some type of drift of, when GPT makes stuff up. We don't want that to happen with, especially if it's talking for a human, for example. And this is where I think making sure that there's those industry standard and benchmarks in place to protect these type of scenarios from playing out is really important. Like, these are people's lives, and we, like, as someone that's been in tech many, many years, I love being able to help impact somebody's life like that, like change that. Someone that couldn't speak now all of a sudden can, is amazing, but doing it in the right way, I think, is really important. Anyway, it's good to see that this is a possibility. I just hope that it has the right approach that it needs to have to make sure that, yeah, things are being conveyed correctly. Let's just say. Anyway, I'm gonna jump to the last slide now because we're gonna be here for like hours because this is fascinating. Um, which says NVIDIA becomes the most powerful company for now. Just saying, this changes frequently, and someone else is no doubt going to emerge and probably do things cheaper and faster and better than at some point in the next few years. I mean, in the meantime, they have a stranglehold in the industry, and good luck to them. Not a stranglehold, dominance on really good hardware. Anyway, I'm gonna finally switch to the last slide once it loads. Is it this one? No, no, that was too far back. What slide did you say? 212? Oh, 10 predictions for the next 12 months. All right, I just got caught on 205.
Yes, I think, Steve, you can just quickly go through these predictions.
Yeah, this is interesting. Number 10's already come true. I've seen some games or some clips from games recently, and like insane. Like it was literally be a sandbox world where someone drives around a street, and when they drive back around the street block again, everything has changed. Well, not everything, but like street elements have changed, just like in the real world. Anyway, number 10 has come true. It's already there. Future is now. Anyway, from the top, 10 billion plus investment from a sovereign state into a large US AI lab invokes national security review. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I could see that happening. And there's already, I noticed actually in the last 6 months, there's been some news articles floating around about one country, I'm not going to mention names, one country saying another country is using advanced AI on particular things or particular, well, sometimes weapon things, which please don't do. But anyway, yeah, that they're already using it in certain ways. So yeah, I could see that being a thing and quite a lot of concerns around that one. Number two is an Apple website created solely by someone with no coding ability will go viral. Well, I mean, already now you wouldn't know what's being built where by what, really. Um, Actually, I did wonder, to add to that, actually, about a year ago, I thought, I wonder if it's possible because, like, you can drop into a model now a request for a particular code to come out, and then you get a response back. So I wonder if it's possible, or if anyone has done yet, uh, essentially an entire website served directly from an AI. Just put that out there. I don't know how successful it would be, but I mean, you get a pretty quick response back now, as long as like it was just from a command line. You could get a homepage rendered based on certain criteria every time a user visits, for example, or a static output going somewhere, which just then gets loaded. So I'd say that's probably possible now, if it's not already been done. Actually, if anyone knows of it being done, please drop it into the chat or drop it into our Discord after this, because yeah, I haven't looked recently, and in theory, it's probably already been done. Number three, Frontier Labs implement meaningful changes to data collection practices after cases begin to reach trial. Yep, I could see that happening, because it kind of comes down to that whole, what data needs to get included in these models for them to be, accepted universally. Like what data sets, what training, where the data sets and training comes from, because obviously that's been a very hot topic. Hello Reddit, in the last in the last recent year or so. So number four, early EU AI Act implementation ends up softer than anticipated after lawmakers worried they're overreached. Yeah, this is an interesting trade-off. I've actually been loosely watching this as well. Yeah, as that government regulation comes in, there's that trade-off of how much do they affect business and an open ecosystem market. Like there's a limit to how much. Obviously, there's potentially how the approach to AI is used strategically. There's a limit to stifling innovation and resource refinement. By that I mean, yeah, some jobs will be created, jobs will be taken away. That's how revolution or industrial revolutions work, or computerized revolutions work. Um, but there's a limit to how much you want to stifle that, because at the end of the day, if you increase productivity by using these, then that's kind of the idea of business. So I could see two sides to that. It'll be interesting to watch, and I could see this playing out quite easily. Anyway, number five, an open an open source alternative to OpenAI 01 surpasses it across a range of reasoning benchmarks. That goes without. It doesn't even surprise me. And it's how we've seen the last few models, the last few alarmers play out, where we've seen that increase in benchmarking and improvements in some ways better than the ones we got to play with first in the OpenAI ecosystem. So that does not surprise me at all. Uh, Challenges failed to make any meaningful dent in NVIDIA's market position. Yeah, for the next year and a bit, next few years, they've pretty much got it. That said, inevitably there will be a challenger because there's always two. There's always two. Sony, not Sony, Xbox, PlayStation. There's always two. There's always one to choose from. Anyway, there's one coming. Number 7, levels of investment in humanoids will trail off as companies struggle to achieve product market fit. Oh, that's interesting. Levels of investment in humanoids will trail off. See, I had that pegged as ramping up, but that kind of makes sense to a degree. I don't know. I think once that cost drops, because like at the moment they're really expensive, and I know this because I want to buy one of those. I want to buy one of those DARPA dog. Those I forget what they're called, the Boston Robotics robot dog things to do chores around like the farm and stuff, and have it like check fences and do some fun things, that I don't really want to do. But I'm not paying 150,000 US for one. So yeah, that's interesting though. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see play out. Number 8, strong results from Apple's on-device research accelerates momentum around personal on-device AI. Yeah, probably. I mean, they're building it into everything now. The new phones and the new Macs, etc. Which everyone's waiting for an M4. The list for those will be very long. Get in early. Get in early. Number 9, a research paper generated by an AI scientist is accepted at a major ML conference or workshop. And number 10 was the video game based on around interacting with Gen AI based elements will achieve breakout status, which we're inevitably going to see because it's going to produce some very cool real-time in-game graphics and whatnot. What's 206? Congratulations, you finished the report. Actually, we skipped a few slides, but this is really worth a read. I would highly recommend anyone checking this out because this is pretty cool. There's a lot in here though, so make yourself a good cup of tea and settle in for a bit of reading because there's a lot in here. I really want to poke around more now, but I won't because we're running out of time. If you have just joined us, this is the bi-weekly APAC AMA with Steve Kuchin and Tao Sheng. We'll be reading through a report that Tao Sheng found on the State of AI report, which is a very, very long, very, very interesting analysis on the current state of the AI industry, which I need to stop looking at because I'm a data guy and I really want to keep going through more of this because there's a lot of data in here. This is a really good report. We're going to drop the link into the Lilypad network Discord after this. So if you want to poke around it, I would very highly recommend it, particularly if you're involved in AI-centric research or you're a resource provider running running on the network. This is definitely worth checking. Oh, there's a whole section on safety. Really, I'm not going to look at it. Not going to look at it. I'm going to step away. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours. If you worth checking out. That's what I was going back to. Otherwise, if you have a question I've got a handful of minutes left, but drop it into the chat. Otherwise, join us on Discord. That one. I was going to talk about website things today, but this turned out to be way more interesting. I mean, website stuff's interesting too, but great find, Tao Sheng. Is there any bit that you think from what you've already looked through, any bit that jumped out to you in that report? What do you think you found interesting?
Yes, for the report, I don't have too much to summarize. I think just to read it. I want to say that this report is more mainly focused on the fundamental model, large language model. But I think for the machine learning and for the AI, it's not only large language model and fundamental model. For the traditional big data processing, the traditional data science, a lot of work we can think of about the AI, and we can think of that how to build that over Lilypad, not only for the fundamental model, but also for other big data processing applications. That is what I want to say.
No, I love that. Yeah, and I think just to add to that, and totally agree, yeah, I think it's definitely worth a look through, particularly if you're looking to build on a particular model type. Like, make sure it's one that's as open sourced as it possibly can, just to make sure that you've got that, not only that community built around that particular model, but the governance is there, the open source ethos approach is baked right in, so that you don't end up in the scenario where you spend all your time and money, effort building out a particular model on a less open sourced approached version, and they go and do something horrible and you have to start again, because no one wants that. So yeah, make sure you're using a model which is has that community built around it and has that proper approach to open source. Because well, students of open source, I know I am lifelong student. It's always important to make sure you contribute and learn, and everyone grows together. The industry grows together. Like, that's the proper open source way, and well, it's how all of us got here. So to this point in time, well, yeah, planet wide. Actually, beyond planet wide, because Elon's using open source stuff in the rockets now too. That he's using Node on the control panels and stuff. Anyway, whole other topic. One thing I was going to mention quickly, let me just find a browser. I will just grab this link. I'll use this one. Is we're in the final stages of testing a Dockerized version of Lilypad's resource provider deployment. So if you want to test it, it's currently in the Lilypad main repo on GitHub. So yeah, test it out. Let us know what you think. Have a play around with it. If you think you can add to it better, or if you can add something to it to make it better, rather, please do so. In fact, we can make it part of Hacktoberfest if you need. Just raise an issue and I'll tag it as Hacktoberfest and you can contribute to it. But otherwise, we would love to know your thoughts. Check it out on Lilypad. If you're running a resource provider already or you want to get started, check it out on Lilypad or in our docs. I'll drop the link for that into the chat. Get the chat open. There we go. And ta-da! I will bring that on screen as well. Or you can visit docs.lilypad.tech and just search for Docker. But there is a new version about to drop, well, in the release candidate stage, I'm going to say. So please check that out if you're interested and let us know your thoughts. And I think that's all we have time for today. Tao Sheng, did you have any final words or final comments, things you want to say?
I just ask again to the community to join the OSS contribution of Lilypad. We have incentive net part of incentive net of open source community. Yeah, highlight of this.
Yeah,
and read
love that.
more. Yeah, the right corner there is read more, find more. Yeah.
I find out more. There it is, and that should take us to ta-da!
Yes.
Blog post.
Yeah.
No, shout out to anyone wanting to contribute or get involved. Please hit us up, join the Discord, and be part of the community.
Yes.
I think we're out of time, but thank you all for joining us. Tune in a week from now, 12 hours difference. The North American version of the Lilypad Network AMA. I think we're actually going to change the name of the AMA soon. I know it's been talked about a little bit. So if you have any suggestions for names, join the Discord. Let us know your thoughts. If you've got some type of fun Lilypadian name, like like what we've done with Pondside Chats. So we've got renamed from Fireside Chats to Pondside Chats to make it a bit more, Lilypad on brand. So if you have some thoughts for what we should call this, then let us know. Kind of curious. We've been kicking around a few names, but anyway. Until next time, I'm Steve Kuchin, and that is Tao Sheng. If you have anything you want to chat about, please hit us up on Discord or any of our socials, lilypad_tech on Twitter, for example. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah. And thank you.